we are going to be building a 4-piece transition duct for connecting our air handler to the existing supply duct. When we're making our back piece, I'm going to add 1 inch on that vertical dimension, so it was 12 5/8 plus 1 inch because our S-lock is going to be right there. And then in terms of this horizontal dimension for this piece, if you look at it, again, you can see that this guy is more left than this guy. So I'm measuring from the edge of this all the way over to here, and you can see now, in my case, this edge stops short of this guy. So what the measurement I really want is distance from here all the way to here. I have no access here. I have no access on the back side of this wall. I'm gonna be screwing in as I'm building this thing. So we're gonna start with this back piece. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add 1 inch on the left side and 1 inch on the right side of my back piece. So I have a lip to screw into for the two left and right faces of my transition duct. Along the vertical dimension, I'll have S-lock holding in the back piece on the top, but then on the lower piece right here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have it go into this metal. I'll hold it with my hand, and then I'm basically just going to screw with a zip screw through this 1/4 inch lip. So we've got our piece added right here, and so I can see where my edges are. So I've got one right there. I've got one right there. I have another guy right there. It's right there. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna connect these dots on the table. I'm gonna add a 1 inch lip. Okay, so on our back piece right here, I just cut it out. So I first connected the two lines that we marked on either side, or the two points, and then I added that 1 inch lip on either side. The reason for that is because I'm going to come in with my folding tool here, and I'm going to basically put a 1 inch flap on either side so that the two, the left and the right pieces have something to screw into. And then I cut out these notches. So if you look at it like this, so that's 90. So you do a little over 90, so that when I fold this flap, it's not going to crash in. And then same thing right here, again 90, do a little bit more than that. That's how you make each notch on these corners. So next step here is I'm going to put a cross break in this thing. All right, here we are with that piece we just bent. So I just got this tab started, so I just push it up the rest of the way, up into there. And then on my bottom tab right here, I just get this thing lined up, and now I'm gonna use some zip screws to basically just hold this piece along the bottom. I got that 1/4 inch flap right there. So we got our back piece screwed in now with the 3 zip screws holding the bottom piece in. I marked where there were existing bolts on the back just so I didn't hit those. And I got 2 zip screws holding this into the S-lock. And then we've got our 1 inch flaps here to support the right and left side. Now I'm gonna be looking at this left side. And so I used a level, and so this thing's leaning back about a 1/2 inch this way. So the longest measurement is going to be this top edge. If it wasn't, then I'd be referring to this guy. But I measured the distance from here out to here, and note that this is all the way back there. So the distance from here to here is 20 inches. And then with my tape measure, I measured from the bottom there to the top of my S-lock right there. So that tells me I'm going to be bending a piece that is going to be 20 plus 1 for the flap on the front here. So 21 by 14. So I'm going to cut that piece. And then I've marked the corner right here. And I've also marked the inside edge right here. All right, so here is our left face in. So got the 1/4" tab flipped over, so I'm gonna zip screw it in just like we did there, avoiding the existing screws. And then I've got that 1" flap behind here that I can access right now, so I'm gonna screw into that. And then we've got this tucked underneath our S-lock up top. And then we've got our 1" lip right here for the face of it. All right, so we are almost done here. So we've got the left and right side installed and screwed in. So these things aren't going anywhere. So we got 2 screws on the bottom, and I've got 3 screws in that seam that come through the other side, just like that. Same thing over there, although you can't really see it. But yeah, so we've got our S-lock holding everything in to our existing supply plenum. And so now all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a piece from here to here to be the face, and then we'll be able to just screw it in, and maybe I'll be able to fit some screws into this piece along this edge. I'm going to be painting on some mastic sealant into these guys before I put my front piece on, because I'll have no access really to any of this stuff. This is what the mastic stuff looks like. So you want to just paint it. And I added a sheet down there just so I try to protect my A-coil. But yep, pretty exciting stuff. This is the finished product inside. All right, this is our last piece. And we just tucked it up into that S-lock. And we've got that 1/4" lip right here to screw into. This is the finished product. So we got our tape added to the outside edges here. So we've sealed that gap as best we can. And the faceplate is now on. It's being held in place with the zip screws and the S-lock up here, and then some additional zip screws holding it into that little flange. And the mastic is what is holding or sealing up all the stuff on the other side of this guy. So that is that. So I hope this helps. Thank you all for watching, and take it easy, everybody.